King of the Pit Media signing in. I want to talk to you today about deathcore. Yes, I want to talk to you about deathcore. Deathcore is not something I've followed in this day and age. I mean, through the reaction channel, I've been put onto a lot of more modern metalcore music, which has still done a good job in retaining the energy of the metalcore I used to remember. But as far as the deathcore is concerned, I know, and I've spoken to my friend about this actually. The little bits of deathcore I've come across that is modernized, like newer productions and newer records from newer bands that have been put out. Arguably, I think as far as metal is concerned, these bands are coming out of the best is debatable because it's not my cup of tea, but the most highly produced, glittery, special production, like sound engineering wise, as far as the realm of metal is concerned. Um, I would also apply it to tech death. You know, a lot of tech death can be technological as far as the sound production is concerned. You know, and yeah, I think deathcore is up there as far as the quality of the music is concerned, as far as metal and the likes. Right now, with that being said, I've not listened to deathcore music for time. Yes, by choice. Unless it's recommended to me, I don't think I'll bother going back. But when I was younger, I couldn't help but listen to so much deathcore music. It was part of the local circuit, and to this day, I think one band in particular, or at least one record, has really personified the sound of deathcore to its finest degree, to its core, you know? Because all of these deathcore bands in the 2000s, they all had different sounds, they all had different approaches. I seen an interview with Gaza. I think it's Gaza of Suicide Silence, who was speaking to some Russian heads or something. I don't know what band they were from, but they were speaking on how, in their opinion, deathcore now is more so just a bit of a pissing contest in regards to who's got the best vocalist, and instrumentally maybe there's a likeness across the board as far as the ones that are picked up, at least by labels and so forth. But back then, I think there was a symmetry per se, the 90s to the 2000s with the new metal, as to where the new metal, yeah, you might be a new metal act, but each and every band, at least that were touching the mainstream, sounded different. This band I'm about to reference, this album I'm about to reference, was with Whitechapel, was with Suicide Silence, was with Job for a Cowboy, was with Viata's Murder, was with Chelsea Grin, was with all of these acts, right? And they all had something different to bring to the table. But I think this, personally, is my opinion. From what I experienced, I'm not a deathcore connoisseur, right? I'm not a deathcore connoisseur, right? I'm more interested in thrash metal back then, to be honest with you. But this album defines the sound I would pinpoint onto deathcore music. Let's find out what that record is, people. If you're a deathcore head, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? But this is what I think it is. Bada bing. As Blood Runs Black. Yes! The record is Allegiance, yeah? Now, I've not listened to this record in a minute. I should have done a little bit of a background check to tell you some information on this record, but it was such a standout record in my personal opinion, which I think over time it's been discolored a little bit through the direction you can sort of go from traditional sounding deathcore music and death metal music and so forth. It might not be the most eccentric sounding record to but I think it defines the beauty I found in that music. So I can talk on it purely without listening to it for years on end, because I still know what elements I find in that music that I will find in this record. So first and foremost, we've got the borderline melodic death guitar lines. And by that, if you're a guitarist, I mean you're just hitting the pedal note on that open E, or in this case, this was tuned to drop C tuning. You know, I mean, deathcore, from what I remember, tend to stray more towards drop B than drop C generally, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So not tech death, more so your Black Dahlia murder-esque melodic death riffing. Fantastic riffing, fantastic guitar lines, incredibly fun to play. Drumming, fantastic. All you need. Doesn't need to delve into the realm of, Devourment-esque blast, blow your head off. What am I listening to? This is extreme. There was an element of composure within the drums. Plenty of blasts, plenty of breakdowns. That's where this band shined. You had the breakdowns, right? Dun 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 dun, which is a dying breed and has been for years on end, in my personal opinion. In the local circuits with the bands I hear that are actually establishing some degree of momentum, bruh, it's been so long since you've had a band that's come along what hasn't been like a 90s metalcore act that, or attaining the sound of a 90s metalcore act that have come forth with just your open chug breakdowns. We had a period over here where, bruh, beatdown and slam and so forth has colonized the hell out of the breakdown of the local community's music, and it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just a changing of the times, but this is symbolic of the breakdown of the 2000s. But then, of course, you throw it into the dissonance. So if you were to play the guitar, I know you drop tuned, and you place your first finger on the first fret, and it ding, ding, gets stuck in with a little bit of dissonance, yeah? That was a thing, symbolic of the deathcore I loved. Vocals, you didn't have this guttural, gargantuan Goliath, on the mic, making toilet noises. He had highs, he had lows. I don't know any of the members of the band. I don't care for any of the members of the band. But he had good highs, good lows. Didn't need anything more. Some great grooves, some great breakdowns. When you hit the breakdown, you over-accentuate the breakdown, you emphasize the breakdown, but you're not hitting the breakdown to an extent where you're the acacia string or you're a mure or anything like this. You're not just breakdown, breakdown, breakdown. There's a lot of melodic value with the guitar lines in between, and it's to be appreciated. This band, I think, only put out 2 records, two full lengths, which was this, Allegiance, and then they went on to do another record. I didn't really check out the other record because I think that was put out years after. I'm gonna take a very, very silly guess here. This was put out 2007. I think the next record was put out like 2010 to 2012, and at that point I was gone. I was listening to bands like fucking First Blood and shit at that point. Like I got sucked into the bandana wearing hardcore music at that point. So yeah, as Blood Runs Black, Allegiance, it's an album I recommend, but I think you had to be there because right now, if you listen to this record, I don't think it's going to reinvent the wheel. I think there's so many acts and so many more. So many bands that have essentially done what this band has done, but polished it up a little bit more, that you might think, this is an average record, but it epitomizes everything I think a deathcore band is. I think it's a foundational sound, and that's all I've got to say. I hope you understood what I was trying to say there, people, but I recommend this record if you're into metal music. I'm signing out. Peace.